Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into a case that, well, it really shook people across the globe. It starts with these incredibly poignant words from New Zealand's Prime Minister at the time, Jacinda Ardern, apologizing to Grace Millane's family.
Yeah, she said, your daughter should have been safe here and she wasn't, and I'm sorry for that. Powerful words.
Absolutely. And they framed this story perfectly. A young woman on her dream adventure. A story starting with excitement, ending in just unthinkable heartbreak, and sparking these huge, necessary conversations worldwide. So this deep dive, it's all about the case of Grace Millane. She was a 22-year-old British backpacker. Her disappearance in New Zealand back in December 2018, it didn't just capture global attention, it uncovered a really shocking crime.
It really did.
We've pulled together a lot for this: police interviews, CCTV footage, which is quite chilling, court transcripts, those heartbreaking victim impact statements, and of course, loads of media reports.
A comprehensive look, for sure.
Our mission, really, is to get beyond just the timeline of events. We want to explore the people involved, their characters, the investigation itself, the whole pursuit of justice, and also the legacy Grace left behind, which is quite powerful.
And so striking, I think, beyond the awful tragedy itself, is how this case really shone a light on that paradox of modern travel.
How so?
Well, you've got the amazing ease of connection, right? Apps like Tinder letting you meet people anywhere. But then there's this deep, often unseen vulnerability, especially, for solo travelers, particularly women, putting trust in someone they've only met digitally in a totally new place.
That's a really good point. It definitely forced a conversation about safety, didn't it?
A global one, yeah.
Yeah.
About how we think about safety in this super connected but sometimes very anonymous world.
And that immediate response from the Prime Minister just highlights how deeply it hit. So let's talk about Grace. Grace Amy Rose Millane, born in Essex, England, 1996, youngest of three.
Described as really sociable, full of life.
Exactly. Very family-focused, creative, artistic, too. She just finished her degree in advertising and marketing from the University of Lincoln. And, it speaks volumes about her character. Before her big trip, she donated her long hair to the Little Princess Trust.
Ah, that's lovely. For children's wigs, right?
Yeah, for kids with cancer.
Yeah.
Just shows her compassionate side. She'd saved up for a whole year for this big backpacking adventure after graduating.
The trip of a lifetime.
Totally. She went to Peru first, then spent about 6 weeks traveling around South America, meeting people, always sharing everything with her family back home. Loads of pictures, details.
Which, as we'll see, becomes a really crucial point later on, that constant communication.
It really does. So, fast forward to November 19th, 2018. Grace lands in New Zealand, all by herself. She gets to Auckland on November 30th, checks into the base backpackers hostel on Queen Street, ready for the next leg of her journey.
Setting the scene.
Okay, so it's Saturday evening, December 1st. Grace leaves the hostel just before 6 p.m. She's wearing a black dress, white shoes, carrying a little handbag. She's got plans.
The Tinder date.
The Tinder date. She messages her friend Amina, back in the UK, says something like, I click with him so well. He's an oil manager. He lives in a hotel.
Right, painting this picture of success and stability.
Exactly. They meet up at Sky City, the big entertainment complex there, grab a drink, then move on to another place, the Bluestone Room. And the key thing here, CCTV captures them leaving that bar just after 9:30 p.m., arm in arm, walking down the street. Together. Yeah. Then comes Sunday, December 2nd. It was Grace's 22nd birthday.
And the communication suddenly stops.
Completely. That's where it gets chilling. Family, friends, everyone sending birthday messages, but nothing. She's totally unresponsive. Both her phones go straight to voicemail.
Which was unusual for her.
Extremely. Her brother Declan said it was really alarming because, like we said, she usually bombarded them with details and pictures.
Yeah.
He called her a home bird. That silence was just a massive red flag.
Understandably.
So her parents waited a bit, hoping, but by December 5th, they couldn't wait any longer. They contacted Auckland police, reported her missing.
And that digital footprint, or rather the sudden lack of it, becomes central. Her established pattern of always being in touch was like her safety signal. When that signal died, it screamed that something was wrong.
Yeah. For solo travelers, that connection back home is vital, isn't it? It's more than just sharing photos.
It's a lifeline, often unspoken.
So the police initially, they didn't jump straight to foul play. Maybe she just met friends, stayed somewhere else. Her stuff was still at the hostel.
Standard procedure, check the simple explanations first.
Right. But they had Auckland's extensive CCTV network. And pretty quickly, They tracked Grace's movements from that Saturday night, and they identified the man she was with, Jesse Kempson.
The mystery man.
Exactly. And then things got stranger. That same night Grace was last seen, she'd changed her Facebook profile picture, and someone commented underneath it, "Beautiful, very radiant,
Let me guess.
Jesse Kempson." And even more unsettling, a previous public post of his from before he even met Grace said something like he was sorry for his mistakes, his arrogance, and his selfishness.
Wow. Red flag starting to pop up there.
Definitely. And as the police zeroed in on him, this carefully crafted image he presented just started to completely fall apart. A really disturbing picture emerged.
And this is where we get into who Jesse Kempson actually was. Because, as you said, the image wasn't real. He was 26, born in Wellington, described by pretty much everyone who knew him as, a pathological liar.
Not just little white lies, that.
Oh, no. This was fundamental to his personality. Reality was just flexible for him.
Yep.
He told incredible stories. He claimed he was related to a famous All Blacks rugby player. Yep. Claimed he was dying of cancer. Said he was a professional softball player signed to the national team, the Black Sox. Lied constantly to employers, partners, his family, who he's mostly estranged from anyway.
What about the oil manager living in a hotel line he gave Grace?
Complete fabrication. He told his landlord at the City Life Hotel where he was staying that he was a top manager for Woolworths, the supermarket chain.
And the reality?
His rent was actually being paid by state benefits, and his most recent job, in telephone sales, he'd been dismissed from it on December 1st.
The very day he met Grace.
The very same day. The level of deception is just staggering.
It's hard to fathom how someone maintains that.
Well, it's dangerous, right? Because it completely confuses people around them. It's hard to know what's real. He wasn't just lying to others. He seemed to believe his own constructed reality. That makes spotting it early incredibly tough. But eventually, the contradictions pile up.
Which they definitely did here. So, December 5th, the day Grace is reported missing, police asked Jesse Kempson to come in. Just routine questions at this stage.
What was his story then?
He said the date was fine, nothing unusual, ended around 10 p.m. with a hug, a kiss on the cheek, and they went their separate ways. He even tried to float the idea that maybe Grace had been catfishing him.
Turning it around.
Right. And he seemed totally confident, agreed to give a voluntary DNA sample, said, "I know I haven't done anything wrong, so I'm happy to do it," like completely nonchalant.
But the cameras.
Ah, the cameras. The city's silent witnesses. They told a completely different story. Police kept reviewing footage, especially from the City Life Hotel where he was staying.
Yeah.
They saw Grace and Jesse arriving together, arm in arm, going into the hotel late that Saturday night. But then, Grace is never seen leaving.
Ever.
Chilling. That's the point. It turns really dark.
Yeah. And this idea he tried to sell later of panicking, it just evaporates when you see what he actually did next. The calculation involved is terrifying.
This is where that distinction between panic and premeditation becomes crystal clear, isn't it? The CCTV laid out this methodical timeline of his actions the very next morning, Sunday, Grace's birthday. What did he do?
Okay, so first, he leaves the hotel, goes shopping, buys a large suitcase. Then he buys cleaning supplies.
Okay.
Around noon, he rents a car, a red Toyota Corolla. Then, get this, hours later, he actually goes on another Tinder date.
You're kidding, on the day Grace died.
Yes. And he apparently told this woman disturbing stories, things about burying bodies. She felt so uncomfortable she refused his offer of a ride home.
Smart woman. Wow.
Then he hires a rug doctor, a carpet cleaning machine, tells the rental place he spilled red wine.
Red wine.
That evening, CCTV shows him loading 2 large suitcases onto a hotel trolley, taking them out, and putting them in the rental car.
2 suitcases.
2. The next morning, Monday, December 3rd, he goes out and buys a shovel. Later that day, he takes the rental car to be power washed before returning it.
Covering his tracks, step by step.
Methodically. Even on December 5th, the day Grace was reported missing and police were starting to look for him, he's seen on camera driving around casually dumping items into different public bins across Auckland.
These are absolutely not the actions of someone panicking. It's cold, calculated disposal.
Precisely. It completely contradicts any claim of shock or accident. It shows a deliberate, systematic effort over days to conceal what happened. That's crucial legally and just in understanding the mindset.
So when the police finally caught up with him at the City Life Hotel.
Yeah, he actually returned while they were there looking for him, saw them in the lobby apparently, and immediately turned around, tried to walk the other way, head down.
Didn't work, though.
Nope. They spotted him, chased him down, apprehended him right there. Meanwhile, things were escalating publicly. On December 7th, Grace's father, David Millane, he flew into Auckland. He gave this incredibly moving press conference, pleading for help.
I remember seeing that. Heartbreaking.
He described Grace as a lovely, outgoing, fun-loving, family-orientated daughter, emphasizing she was never out of contact, just gut-wrenching.
And then the story changed again.
It did. December 8th. The evidence is piling up: the CCTV, the lack of Grace leaving the hotel. Kempson is taken into custody, interviewed again, and his story completely shifts.
What did he say this time?
Now, he admits Grace died in his hotel room, but he claims it was during consensual sex involving bondage. He said she asked him to hold her throat.
The rough sex gone wrong, defense starting to form.
Exactly. He claimed he then fell asleep, maybe in the shower, woke up later, found her dead on the floor, said he panicked, put her body in a suitcase, drove out of the city, and buried her. But he still denied murder, claimed it was an accident.
But the forensic evidence?
Well, despite his cleaning attempts with the rug doctor, they found Grace's blood, traces of it, on the floor of the hotel room carpet, and based on the information he gave them about where he buried her.
They searched the Whitaker Ranges, right?
Yeah.
Near Scenic Drive.
That's it. Police searched that area, and around 4 p.m. that day, December 8th, they found a body concealed in the bushland. They believed it was Grace. Formal identification confirmed it soon after.
Just devastating confirmation for the family.
Unimaginable. And this is where his actions after her death become even more damning, undermining that whole panic narrative.
What else came out?
The prosecution later revealed his internet search history from the early hours of Sunday morning, after Grace was already dead, around 1:30 a.m.
What was he searching for?
Things like hottest fire, flesh-eating birds, and, crucially, Whitaker Ranges.
The exact place he buried her. He searched for it hours after she died.
Yes. And then, according to the evidence presented, he spent time browsing pornography sites. And he took several intimate photographs of Grace's body after she was dead.
That's beyond disturbing. How can anyone possibly claim panic after doing that? Searching for disposal methods, looking at porn, taking photos.
It completely demolishes the idea of a panicked, accidental situation, doesn't it? It points towards something far more calculated and, frankly, depraved. It shows a focus on objectification, on covering tracks, not on shock or remorse, a chillingly clear sequence of thought.
The reaction in New Zealand was immense, wasn't it?
Huge outpouring of grief. Thousands paid tribute. Vigils were held. And that's when Prime Minister Ardern made that public apology to the Millane family, acknowledging the nation's shared grief and sense of responsibility.
So Kempson was formally charged with murder on December 10th, just 5 days after she was even reported missing. Incredible speed.
Very fast. He was granted interim name suppression at first, which is common in New Zealand to ensure a fair trial process, protect the identity initially.
And the autopsy confirmed the cause of death.
Yes, strangulation. It noted bruising consistent with considerable force being applied, likely for 4 to 5 minutes to cause death.
4 to 5 minutes. That's a long time.
A critically long time when considering intent versus accident. He pleaded not guilty, of course. The trial started in November 2019, ran for about 3 weeks. Reports said he just sat there, stony-faced, no emotion shown.
And the defense stuck to the accident narrative.
They did. Their whole case was that it was a tragic accident. Consensual rough sex that had gone horribly wrong. They used the term sexual misadventure, claimed he just panicked afterwards when he realized she was dead. The courtroom really became a battleground for these two completely opposing stories.
But the prosecution, they had that mountain of evidence.
They did. They laid it all out, argued forcefully this wasn't panic, wasn't an accident. It was, in their words, deliberate and intentional. Their strength was tying everything together: the CCTV, the lies, the internet searches, the cleanup, the disposal, the time it took to strangle someone.
Yeah, connecting those dots to show intent, not accident.
Exactly. They hammered home the point about the 5 to 10 minutes of pressure needed, one prosecutor famously saying, "If that's not reckless murder in this country, somebody will have to explain to me what is." They argued he acted calmly and callously to cover it up, weaving this labyrinth of storytelling and lies.
So the jury had to decide. Accident and panic, or deliberate act and cover-up?
Pretty much, weighing his claims against his meticulous actions before, during, and especially after her death.
And in the end, the jury didn't buy the defense story.
Not at all. They saw through that labyrinth of lies, as the prosecution put it. On December 22nd, 2019, after deliberating for only about 5 hours.
That's quick for a murder trial.
Very quick. They came back with a unanimous guilty verdict, guilty of the murder of Grace Millane.
And the sentence.
Life in prison, with a minimum non-parole period of 17 years. The judge's sentencing remarks were quite powerful, pointed out the power imbalance. You are a large and powerful man. She was diminutive. You are in a position of total physical dominance.
And Grace's mother's words.
Her victim impact statement was read in court, utterly devastating. She said to Kempson, "She died terrified and alone in a room with you. Just impossible to comprehend that pain."
There was also a lot of anger about the trial itself, wasn't there? About how Grace was portrayed.
Yes, significant backlash. Many people felt the defense tactics amounted to victim blaming, focusing on her sexual history or interest in BDSM as if that somehow excused his actions or made her death less of a crime. It was called shameful and grotesque by many observers.
Shifting the focus away from the perpetrator.
Exactly. It sparked a really important conversation about how victims, especially women, are treated in sexual violence cases, even posthumously. That public anger was crucial in highlighting how unacceptable victim blaming is.
And then, tragically, it turned out Grace wasn't his only victim.
No. It became horribly clear this was part of a pattern. After the murder conviction, with his blurred image now public, 2 other women recognized him and bravely came forward. This led to more trials in 2020, judge-alone trials this time.
What did they reveal?
In October 2020, an ex-partner testified about horrific abuse she suffered. Physical, sexual, emotional, financial. She described him holding knives to her throat, choking her, forcing sex acts, controlling her money. He drained $10,000 from her account.
My God, was he convicted?
Found guilty on 8 charges related to that relationship. Jailed for 7.5 years for those crimes. Then, just a month later, November 2020, another trial. For raping another young British tourist. Someone he'd also met on Tinder about 8 months before he murdered Grace.
So this predatory behavior was ongoing.
Apparently. He forced himself on this woman, threatened her, saying things like, "If you don't do this, I will kill you and I will kill your family." Just pure terror tactics.
And the verdict?
Guilty of rape. He got another 3.5 years for that. So these further convictions just cemented this pattern of predatory violence, didn't they?
Absolutely. It showed Grace's murder wasn't some isolated, out-of-character act. It was the lethal culmination of a long history of violence, control, and deception targeting women. It really underscores how these behaviors escalate.
And how crucial it is to recognize those patterns, those red flags, much earlier. These cases reveal the tactics, the coercive control, the threats, the financial abuse that often pave the way for extreme violence.
Yeah. Those additional sentences, the 7.5 years and the 3.5 years, they totaled 11 years. But they were set to run concurrently with the life sentence for murder.
So it doesn't extend his overall time inside, but officially documents his other crimes.
Right. Apparently, when he was found guilty of the rape, he had an aggressive outburst in court. Shouted something like, "You have no reason to convict me." Still no remorse, clearly.
Denial right to the end.
Then in December 2020, that interim name suppression finally ended. His name and face became fully public. Reports say he's trying to appeal the convictions from those 2020 trials.
Right. And amidst all this, another layer of tragedy for the Millane family.
Yes, incredibly sad.
Yeah.
In November 2020, Grace's father, David, who had fought so hard for justice and been so dignified throughout, he passed away after battling cancer. Just heartbreaking.
Unimaginable loss upon loss for that family.
But Grace's memory, her legacy, it really does endure. Her family and friends have done incredible work.
The campaigns, right.
Yeah. They raised over £11,000 for the White Ribbon Campaign. That's the charity working to end male violence against women. And they set up the Love Grace campaign.
What does that involve?
They collect donations of handbags filled with essential items, toiletries, things like that, and give them to women who are seeking refuge from domestic abuse. A really practical, compassionate way to help others in Grace's name.
That's truly turning grief into positive action. A powerful legacy.
It really is. So wrapping this up, we've covered a lot. From Grace's bright start, her dreams of adventure, through the truly chilling details of her murder, the painstaking work of unraveling Jesse Kempson's web of lies, and the pursuit of justice that ultimately exposed this wider pattern of abuse.
Yeah, the impact was just immense. Not just for the family, obviously, but globally. It forced conversations about safety, about violence against women, about the specific risks for travelers, especially solo travelers.
I think if there's one thing to take away, maybe it's how danger can hide in plain sight. A dating app swipe, a drink at a bar, things that feel so normal.
Absolutely. It's a stark reminder that vigilance isn't just about, dark alleys. It's about recognizing manipulation, even in seemingly ordinary interactions, and thinking critically about the trust we place in digital connections, especially when meeting people for the first time.
Grace's story and her family's incredible strength in creating those campaigns, it really makes you think, doesn't it? About consent, about spotting abuse patterns earlier, about our shared responsibility to make the world safer for everyone, especially people exploring it like Grace was. What will you take away from this deep dive?
It's a story that stays with you.
Definitely. And maybe consider looking up the White Ribbon Campaign or the Love Grace Campaign. Supporting their work is one way to honor Grace's memory and help make a difference.